I couldn't be prouder of being able to turn the leadership over to Caitlin, and to know that such a competent person, who happens to be a woman, is leading us forward. And so I thank you for your remarks, but I was persistent for a reason. And I think you, as you get to know Caitlin and her manners and her leadership style and her grace and her straightforward thinking and commitment, will also increasingly understand why she is the right leader to take us forward into the next 50. Thank you, Caitlin. I think the slogan, 50 and Forward, which is the slogan for this year, comes out of the work of Caitlin and Connie Stuckey and Sarah Wersinski. Is that true? Is that pretty much?
It was your idea, Tom.
No, it wasn't.
It was. Yes, you were the one who said it. It really was.
Anyhow, I was...
You liked it.
Sarah, please stand up. Yes. Sarah will do almost anything to provide us with another NCR reader. Sorry for that, Sarah. Where's Connie? Connie.
Right here.
Connie, stand up. Thank you also, Connie. And Caitlin. So, it's not accidental that three women are working together in leadership positions in this company to think about the future. And I also wanted to express my gratitude to Jean Blake, who I've worked with for 25 years. And between Jean Blake and my wife, Juan, who's sitting in the back, please, just for a second. I've had the good fortune, truly the good fortune, to be led by women. Jean from 9 to 5 on weekdays, and then Hua from 5 to 9 on weekdays and weekends. And when you begin to appreciate what women can say and what women can teach you, and if you're open to it enough, you can be, quote, successful. It's a matter of listening. And so I'm truly grateful to these women. So I wanted to just say another thing about another woman, because it fits into the theme of where we're going. Not just where we've been, but where we need to go. And I think of Sister Teresa Kane, a Sister of Mercy. And when Sister Teresa Kane gives a talk, she often asks the people that she's with, how large is your community? And if she's talking to some women religious, sometimes they'll say, well, there's 30 in our group or 150. She's talking to a parish, they might say, well, we're 250 families. And then she says, so how large is your community? How large is your community? She keeps pressing until she gets an answer that's a little larger than the immediate community that someone might think they're in. And she presses and presses until she gets, some people start to pick it up and say, well, maybe we're all Americans. We're all citizens of the United States. And so how large is your community? And they're raising their eyebrows and like, where is she going? And pretty soon, of course, as you might imagine, she takes the notion of community to an inclusive spot, in which no one is included. And then no one is excluded, excuse me. How's that? Maybe there's some truth there too, who knows? And then she carries it on to even further to living beings, all of us, the whole the whole universe, all living beings, to creation itself. And the point she makes is you need to keep expanding the circle. And I think that in the middle 1960s, the leadership of the Greens and the Thormans and the Hoyts and others understood the spirit of the council. And the spirit of the council was all about expanding the community. They called it collegiality. But it was really more about being open to and including other religions, interreligious dialogue, humanism, dialogue between Christians and Catholics, and other Protestants and Catholics. But the idea was to increase the scope of the community. And I think that there is a synergy of good journalism, good gospel values, and good theology, all working together at the edges of the circle and beyond the circle. Good journalism gives voices to those who have no voices or who are not adequately represented at the table. That's what good journalism is. And it holds those in authority accountable to make sure that those who are outside the circle or at the margins of the circle are being heard. NCR has had a preferential option throughout its history of giving voice to the voiceless, be it the nuclear war protesters, Vietnam War protesters, giving civil rights advocates, women religious, early environmentalists, victims of clergy sex abuse, LCWR. The list goes on and on. Theologians who have been told that they're no longer part of the circle. And NCR has always reached out. And today, Pope Francis is telling us that the gospel is lived and found on the margins. That's where NCR has been in its reporting for these 50 years. And that's where we find the face of God. To be a little bit more theological. We increase the circle not just for the sake of justice, because it's right, but we increase the circle because those who seem to be outside of us have something very special to teach us about what it means to be human and how they reflect the image of God. So I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to align the principles of good journalism with basic gospel values and even good theology. It's accidental. Bob Hoyt, bless his soul, asked me when he heard that I was going to Vietnam to be the NCR Vietnam Bureau Chief in 1966. That's before I even set foot in Vietnam. And he pestered me to write. My first article appeared in August 1966 in NCR, and it's about refugees in Vietnam. And I consider those years fully blessed because I was forced to experience life at the margins, outside the circle. And it was a mind-altering moment in my life. And I felt shot out of a cannon. And I feel I haven't landed yet. But the energy of that war experience has given me direction for my entire professional life. And I know that the same kind of experiences have been shared by you. The energy of the council, the hopes and dreams that occurred there, the pain and suffering that you have felt as you felt marginalized, as your voices have been extinguished, has infused you with light and hope and determination to move forward and to maintain faithful commitments to this church. And so today is family. This operation, this journalism, over the years has grown to be much, much more than journalism. It's grown to be community. It's grown to be family. We share the values, hopes, the frustrations, the pride, the anger, the feelings of loss for so many people we've seen who've been trashed along the way, misrepresented, or executed. And so we come together in great intimacy, and I apologize to many of you here who I see here today that I just desperately would like to spend an evening with, but have only 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. Enough. The future of NCR is secure because young people are coming in at a strong rate, in large part because of one of our board members, Tom Burleson, who set up an endowment for interns. But not just that, but because they're also drawn to this commitment to justice and fairness and to inclusiveness. And the shift that's taking place now is such a wonderful shift. For the first time ever in NCR's 50-year history, our board chair, Annette Lamont, and our CEO, president, are women. And the majority of our board members are made up of women. And our staff increasingly has women editors. We're in good hands. And I'm so proud of this movement forward. And I would be incomplete in my remarks if I didn't acknowledge, I think, the most talented editor that NCR's ever had is Dennis Cody. Where is Dennis? Dennis combines vision with commitment, with family, with Catholic worker background, with religious life. His brother is religious in Africa. And he's juggling so much more than any other editor who's ever been here has juggled. We've had the paper, but he has 24/7 online, plus the paper. And now we throw at him Global Sisters Report, hooray! More voices for women and more work for Dennis. So thank you, Dennis, as well as thank you, Caitlin. So, all of this just leads me to one statement of gratitude for 50 Past and all the work that all of you have put into making this day possible, and to the step in deep faith and confidence and hope into the next 50. So if I had a glass, I would hold it up. I ask you if you have a glass or not. I offer this toast to 50 past and 50 forward. God bless the National Catholic Reporter. Thank you. I would like to open this to other voices. We're talking about being inclusive, and if there's anyone at this time who would like to say something, to offer another toast, comment, observation, please feel free. Don't be bashful.